Hello, everybody. In this presentation, I'm going to talk about the school management application, as you can see on your screen. So we're going to go through some of the buttons on the screen. So without wasting much time, let's delve right into it. So in order for this application to work effectively, we need to set up the fees, the course, the user, and the company settings. All these setups can be found under settings. So let's go right under settings and set everything up. So for the very first tab, we have the current year and term. So we have to set up the current year and term. And then we save. And then we go to the grading boundaries. So this is where we set up boundaries, pertaining to grading. And then we also do assignment, being it as quizzes, midterms, finals, okay, for each grade level. On the very far right, we have some buttons, which pretty much checks the table to make sure that the inputs that we have in the table looks good. So let's click on the very first one. So it's telling us that the first table looks good. And then the second check mark is also telling us the second table looks good, right? Let's say in error, we change the final percentage for grade level preschool to, let's say, 15, right? And then let's check. Let's click the grading button. The first table looks good. There is an error pertaining to the second table, okay? Because the maximum should be 100. The total should be 100, and it's 110 in this case, okay? So let's revert to the original, just 5. And now if we click on the grading button, everything should look good, okay? The same idea applies to the first. Let's say for our grading boundaries, let's say the minimum is 40, and then the maximum is 0.5. Once again, if we click on the grading button, it's going to tell us, hey, there's a problem with, the very first table. It's giving us the rule where the problem is. And then for the second table, everything should look good, right? So let's revert to the original, okay? So in this case, I'm going to change this to 25 and then change the maximum for it, okay? Now, if you click on that, everything should look good. There we go. All right. So the next tab is the course or subject selection. This is where we select the courses pertaining to each grade level. So as you can see on your screen, for preschool, we have math and English only. So students in preschool will be doing math and English only. For kindergarten, they will be doing all the boxes checked, okay? And so on and so forth. So you have to set this up for all the grade levels in your school. And then we have the fees or cost items. This is where we set up costs pertaining to a grade level. So as you can see on the screen, let's say for kindergarten, right? All students in that grade level will be paying for admission and tuition fee only, right? For preschool, I think they'll be paying for uniform as well, okay? So this is where you set up cost or fees related to each grade level, okay? So for the application to work effectively, you pretty much have to go through all these tabs, set everything up, and then you'll be good to go. On the next tab, this is where we set the salary range boundaries for employees. And if, in your calculation, you will not be employed in a tax rate, you pretty much set all these values to 0, okay? Same for the contribution, employer and employee contribution. If you will not be using that in any of your calculations, you set all the tier percentages to 0 as well. And then we have the user settings. This is where you set up users that will be using the application. This way you set them up, their names and their passwords. And the very last two, the access token and the device ID, this is where you set them up so that they are able to send SMS messages, okay? There's an embedded video in the application, which goes into detail as to how you need to set it up so that, users can send SMS messages, okay? And then we have the grade level teacher tab. So this is where you set up, grade level teachers. So looking at the very first table, we have 2 grade levels. We have preschool on row 1 and then preschool on row 16. So what this is telling us is we have the application is set up so that you can set up multiple grade levels, right? And some schools, they use names of important personalities. Some use, flowers, animals. I'm just using the classic function, alphabets, right? So you can always change this class type, okay? If you have multiple grade levels in your school, you can do that using the class type. Okay. All right. So that is that. So the very first table, we see we have preschool, one class type is C, the other is B. Okay. So if your school you're using important personalities or names of animals, you can always set it up using the class type in the second table. All right. And then we have the settings. Okay. So this is where you do all the settings in the school, because this is going to pretty much reflect on all your printouts. Okay. So once you are done, the application is good to go. All right. Now let's look at the other buttons. So we have the student enrollment button. This is where we set the student up, put in the student's credentials and the school, right? They have their guardian information. So we put in the parent or guardian information. Okay, the first two is the primary and secondary guardian, and then the other one is blank at the moment. Okay, this has to be set up. If let's say someone will be picking up the children, either than the primary or secondary guardian, then you can fill the information there. Okay, the reason being that an ID is generated for students and guardians, as well as a one-day pass, which could possibly be given to a driver or any other person that will be picking up your ward. Okay, so once you fill in those profile, automatically you have a QR code generated ID card. Okay, let's take a look. Let's print it out. Take a look. So this is how the ID card looks like. All right. Let's move on to the next tab. The next tab is the report. So this is where we generate a report pertaining to a specific student, right? In this case, Kwame. So let's click on it. All right, so this is how the report looks like, right? No grading has been done yet, but this student is in preschool, and then the courses assigned is English and math. No grading has been done as of now. Okay, so we'll do that later in the video and then see how it looks like. And then this is the message center. So this is where we send out messages to parents or guardians, okay, pertaining to the specific student. So let's try. Let's send the message, CU, okay, and then in sending the messages, there are 3 different media within which we can send the messages. It could either be through SMS, email, or WhatsApp. So let's try the WhatsApp functionality. So WhatsApp is being launched at the moment. Okay, the parent has been located, and then the message, Mrs. Georgina Nelson, see you. Okay. Okay, so the message has been delivered. Okay, WhatsApp message sent. Okay, the message that was sent was Mrs. Georgina Nelson. Why? We're able to send that personalized message because we have the guardian's information in the database, right? So let's say if we were to change this to, let's say, Kini, right? And then we go to the message center, right? So let's add a greeting. Let's say, good morning, right? So the output of the message is supposed to be good morning, Mrs. Georgina McKinney, right? And then the message is supposed to be see you. All right, so let's try it again, and then let's see what the output is going to look like. So WhatsApp is being launched at the moment. And there we go. Good morning, Mrs. Georgina McKinney. See you. Okay. And then let's wait for the message to be delivered. Okay, the message has been sent. Okay. And then we get a notification that the message has been sent. Okay, so this applies to all the different media within which you can send out the information. You can always attach a file. Okay, you can pick a file and then attach it, or we can pick a folder and attach the content of that folder, okay, to the message that we want to send. All right. All right. And then let's go to the payment tab. So this is where payment pertaining to the student, this is where it's entered, right? So let's try, let's say cash. So the student is making a payment of cash. Let's see, 2,000. Let me choose any arbitrary date. Okay. And then let me save. Do you wish to select cash? Yes. Okay, so the payment has been entered. That is the very first, this record right here. On the very far left bottom, it tells you payment that the student has made from enrollment to date. And then on the far right bottom corner, it's telling us for that academic period and academic term, that is the amount that the student has paid, and then that is the related cost. So this student has a credit of 7,700 plus to his account. Okay, we have some print buttons on the top. You know, the very first one is for receipt. Okay, it gives us a receipt, nice receipt, giving us all the details, you know, what the student owes or any, you know, credit balances that the student has. All right, and then the next one is going to tell us the all payment history relating to the student. So as you can see, from enrollment to date, these are the payments and related costs for the student. So this student currently has a credit balance on his account. Okay. The last two buttons pertains to all students in the school. All right. So this one right here pertains to all payments, you know, related to all students in the school. So as of now, there is a negative balance, meaning, you know, the total of all students in the school that all sums up to 836 plus. Okay. And then the very last button tells us students in the school that owe. So let's see. We only have one student that is owing. Okay. All right. So that is that. And then let's move on to the next tab, the awards. So this is where we set up awards for a student. Could be, you know, a student demonstrating good character, a graduation certificate, or a best in subject certificate, right? To print any of these certificates, we use the ID. So let's print the very first one using ID2 for, you know, this student had an award for being the best or, you know, demonstrating good character. So let's print that out. So that's how the certificate is going to look like. Okay. Exemplary conduct. All right. Let's unfilter and then let's look at best in subject. So let's choose 85. Okay. Now let's print it out. Take a look at how it looks like. Okay. So being how do you call it? Best in math. Okay. All right. So that is that. Let's move on to the next pattern, employee enrollment. And mind you, the moment you click on either the student enrollment or employee enrollment, right, it gives you a summary of the number of employees that we have in the school, right? So as of now, we have, and then the agenda and active status and all that. So currently we have only 2 employees in the database, all 2 are male, and then all 2 are teaching staff. Okay, so that gives you a summary of the employee. Similarly, if we were to click on the student enrollment, okay, we have the summary telling us we have same. Okay, so let me change this to, go back to the student enrollment, and then let me change the student from male to female, right? And then let's save. All right, and then exit it. So now you see, it's now giving me a summary, female 1, male 1, and then those are their percentages, and then both are active as well. Okay. All right, let's go to the employee enrollment. So this is similar to that of the student enrollment. This is where you set everything up for the employee. The moment you do that, an ID card is automatically generated. Okay. The next tab is the payroll. That's where you set up the payroll for the student. So you input all the values and then the necessary calculation is done. And if you want to send a message to the employee, that's where you do it. Once again, there are 3 different media within which you can send information to the employee. You could either use WhatsApp, SMS, or email, and you can attach files as well. Okay. And you can also add greetings if you choose to do so, or if you want to do so. All right, let's go to the student list. So this is where you have all the students in the school. You can always search by first name, last name, or the student ID. All right, so let's search James. The moment you type J, starts searching. Okay, if you double click on it, it opens the profile of the student. Okay, so let's close it. And once we click on the print, it's going to give us all the students that we have in the school. Right? If you want to open the profile of the student in edit mode, you click on this. Okay, once you double click, it's now going to open it in edit mode. It means you can make changes to it. Okay, so say you cannot make changes to it. Initially, if you don't check that box, you cannot make changes. It's going to be read-only. Okay. And then we have the promote, right? So let me clear this. You cannot use the promote functionality unless you have finished grading of all students, you've archived the records, and then you can promote a student from one grade level to the next. As of now, grading has not been done in the database, but let's check. If you try to promote, it's not going to allow you because grading has not been done yet. And it makes sense. You have to finish all the grading, archive all the records, and then you can do grading. Right? So let's click yes. Do you want to promote? Let's click yes. Have we saved current year intent? Yes. Do you want to archive records? Let's say yes. Okay, and then we get an error message that we cannot promote students because grading has not been done, and it's telling you the specific student, their names, and the courses that need to be graded before the student can be promoted. Okay. All right. So what we saw on the student list is similar to that of the employee list. Okay. Now let's go to grading. All right. So before we do the grading, let's go to the student enrollment page. Right. How many students do we have here? Right. We only have 2 students in the school, right? This student, Matthew, is in 1st grade, and then the other is in preschool. Okay. So we have 1 student in preschool. All right. So we're going to do grading for preschool. And in preschool, let's look at the courses assigned. So for every student in preschool, they should be doing math and English, right? So 2 courses to be graded. Okay, so let's go to grading. Let's choose preschool. And then it's going to pull up, the courses that have to be graded. So let's go to English. Let's put in some arbitrary values in there. Let's say 85, 75, 68, and these boxes are in no order. You can fill it up, however you want. Midterm, let's put 88, and then finals, let's put 98, right? And then you save. So once we do that, automatically it's going to do the grading, right? And then the ranking as well. And because of how we've set everything up, it's also going to give us the grade remarks. All right, so English has been completed. Let's move on to the next subject, math, and then let's do the grading. 78, 98, 5, 80, and then 75. Okay, and let's do the grading. Okay. So grading has been done. All right, so in order to generate the report, you could either do it on this form. You go to the reports for this student, and then let's take a look at it. Let's see. So the English and the math, those are the 2 subjects, and then they've been graded. And this is how it's going to look like. Okay. Now we also have the report button, right? This is where you can do reports for any of the grade levels, or you can choose all reports, okay, and then do it for the entire school. So if you want to generate a report for the entire school, once grading has been done, you can choose all reports and everything is going to be done. This table right here, okay, is telling us students that we've not done the grading for, okay? So we already did it for, how do you call it, preschool. So if I were to choose preschool, right, it's going to refresh. I'm going to generate the report. All reports have been generated. Do you want to send out email to parents? No, as of now. And as you can see, it has now been filtered to first grade only. Initially, we had preschool and first grade, because the table was not refreshed. But because we have done the grading for preschool, we are now only seeing first grade. Okay. So for a student in preschool doing 2 courses that has been completed, it's now left as a student in first grade, right? And that student is doing math and grading has not been done yet. Okay. So if you go to the course setup and then we check on what student was that? First grade, that student is supposed to do math only, and we've not graded that student. So that makes sense. Okay. All right. So now let's go to attendance. Okay. So for employer or students, this is the attendance platform. Okay. So let's try doing this using yeah, let's say using an employee, right? So before you can do that, let's go to the employee enrollment, right? You can, for attendance, you can do that either using the PIN code associated to that employee, or you can scan their ID cards, right? So for this student, right, his PIN code is 2023. So let's go into the attendance and then let's key him in. So if the student were to come to school, punch in 2023 or scan the ID card. Verified. Okay, so we got that message, verified, and then the details pops up. Okay. So that's it. Details pop up. This is the time that the student was punched in, right? So we can try that again. Let's punch in the student. Oh, we've already done that. Okay, so it's telling us, hey, we've already checked in, right? So this employee has already checked in. And we can always generate a report. Let's take a look at the time card. Okay, so let me choose some values right here. 1, 2. Okay, and that's how that report looks like. The time card. Okay, with George Brown. Okay, so that's how they've already been done. Let's go to the other employee. Next record. Okay, so we have this employee. Let me choose a picture. Choose a picture for that employee. Okay, and then the PIN code is 2023. Okay, going to close, go to attendance. Did I get that right? Let me check again. This was for the first one. 3023. That's the PIN code. Okay, so attendance 3023. Enter. Verified. Verified. Okay, then so now we can punch in values. So see populating. So that's the timing. Let's say that employee goes for a break. See that being populated at the time come out. Okay, and then the time that they log off eventually. Okay, and then you can pull the time card. So let me choose today's date. And then we do a printout. So that's how it's going to look like, okay, for that specific student, okay? All right. So that is that for attendance. And then we have messaging. Right. So for the messaging platform, this is where we can send bulk messages to parents or to employees, okay? And then we can use that once again using the 3 different media: WhatsApp, SMS, and then email, okay? And we can also attach files as well. All right. So on this tab, let's say if you want to send out a message to all parents that have their wards, have a negative balance on their account. So you check this box. You want to notify parents or guardians that owe. I click yes. Notification activated. So this is going to give me a printout of all the students in the school that are owing. So currently there's only 1 student in the school owing 8,600. Okay, so if you want to send a message to the parent, right, just click WhatsApp. Could be WhatsApp, email, or whatever, right? Then we click yes. So you see, the message is going to be sent to the primary and secondary guardian of the student. So let's see. So as you can see, the name of the school, the parent is being greeted, and then the message telling us how much that that student owes. So that is going to go to the primary and the secondary guardian. So the first message was sent, and then the second message is also being delivered. Okay, I have only one phone number for both, so that is why it's going to the same person. Okay, so yeah, the message is a reminder that's your ward. So you see the two different names. Yes. Okay. All right. Two different names because the primary and secondary guardian. So the messages were sent. All righty. So and then the last thing that I want to talk about is the help videos. So here you can pretty much go through if you want a detailed detailed um rundown of all the functionalities or tab or buttons on the application. You can pretty much go through this, and then the embedded video is going to tell you what each button does, okay, more in detail. All right, without wasting much of your time, thank you for sticking by, and then I'll talk to you next time. Bye for now.